where's your brush? You stay there. I'm gonna brush you. Okay. Okay. This is another uh, video in on my series of on my compost pile. Why I'm composting, and it's gotten more complex, especially today. I wrote yesterday, a couple of days ago, to the Minister of the Environment here in Canada, asking why Canada is not has not signed on to 4 for 1,000. That's a French initiative that came out of the COP21 in Paris and is followed up in Marrakesh. That's finished now. I didn't know anything about it, but because of this compost, and my uh, my research into the importance of composting and what composting is for. Why am I even doing this? And if you look at the other videos, you'll see that among many other people, I have I've understood now. I mean, it's changed my whole way of thinking about. I've become so much more optimistic about the world, realizing, really taking account of how nature works, how uh, how plants grow, the importance of photosynthesis, um, and uh, and the need for a healthy soil. That is for soil that's full of life, that's full of microbes, and so those things I've touched on in other videos. But now, um, so when I think about that and continue on my project of regenerating the life in my soil. Regenerating is the key word here. I was never been very comfortable with sustainable agriculture, and even permaculture was just too vast. People call very many things permaculture. But there's something called regenerative agriculture. There's a an initiative called I'll put the links below. Initiative called Regeneration International. It's regeneration. The idea here and the key here is regenerating the life in the soil, putting carbon back in the soil, because we've already been through that in the other videos. I mean, to me, it's now clear. Regenerating the soil is about putting life in the soil. That also means putting carbon back in the soil. That carbon, even growing plants, but also into the soil, to the life forms, all the microbes, and into the root systems. All of that takes carbon. We've interrupted that. We've interrupted that cycle. Never worse than with industrial agriculture. Conventional agriculture, which come here, I'm not finished. Um, and especially uh, industrial agriculture, represented by uh, corporations like Monsanto, DuPont, and etc. Cargill. Um, that is war against the planet. It's war against the soil, and it's leaving us with unhealthy food not that doesn't have the vitamins in it that we need. So at the same time, at the same time that I'm writing to Environmental Minister Catherine McKenna, saying why is it that Canada hasn't signed on to um, 4 for 1,000? That's the. It just happened to be the same day that Prime Minister Trudeau and Catherine McKenna announced this country is approving the Kinder Morgan pipeline, which is going to be a disaster if it goes. It's just a disaster. Just the idea that the country is is approving a pipeline that will only take more of our um, tar sands oil out of the ground and send it to China. Even if it were to be consumed here, it would make no difference. It's not what we need. But the thing is, okay, what's 4 for 1,000? The 4 for 1,000 was an initiative introduced by France in COP21 and carried on in Marrakesh, that's just finished, COP22. And Canada refused to sign on to 4 for 1,000. The idea is that each year, 0.4% of there should be an increase of 4.4% of carbon in the soil. That means precisely what I'm trying to do, and that is reintroduce life, health into the soil. Now, in fact, I mean, there's not enough science in this area to be certain exactly what that would mean, but there is enough science to know that it would be significant, a significant, if not uh, crucial depletion of carbon in the atmosphere transferred to the soil where it belongs. That's a natural cycle. We've interrupted that cycle, but how have we interrupted that cycle? With industrial agriculture. It kills the carbon in the soil. By carbon, I mean life forms. We're carbon-based forms, not just we humans and we dogs, but bacteria and fungi and everything else. We've destroyed that, and in its place, we have our soils all over the world on life support. There's so many answers to this predicament that are all about imitating nature, finding out what nature has done for millions of years, hundreds of millions of years before we got here, and making sure that we create the circumstances in which that can happen. So Canada has decided. No, okay. So look. So here Newton and I are, trying to regenerate our soil, and I thought, oh boy, if Canada had signed on like 21 other countries to 4 for 1,000, I mean, making it an official policy to rejuvenate the soil, regenerate life in the soil, carbon in the soil, put carbon back in the soil, then maybe there'd be some program I'll go to the government and see if there's a program, and I'll even extend this, however, boom, no, Canada doesn't sign on to 4 for 1,000. So Canada doesn't acknowledge that we want healthy soils. At the same time, Canada is producing allowing a pipeline to be created, if it ever will be, but also signing an agreement with Europe, and now it's going into, I think we're in second reading now, for an agreement with Europe that gives power to agribusiness, industrial agriculture. So it's quite clear why Canada isn't going to support putting life back in the soils that will address health, human health, soil health, good food, reverse climate change. All those things go together. In fact, it just creates an environment of optimism and enthusiasm to be able to reverse, as a human being, to reverse what humans have done historically for thousands of years, and especially for 100 years, and especially for 60 years, destroying the planet. We know more now. We know what we've done. So there's nothing else for it but the power of industrial agriculture and oil won. And this liberal government that that sort of got into power on a feel good, we're not conservatives, we're not Harper, same kind of thing as Obama did in the United States. We're nice. Don't really know what that means, because don't know what that means, because they're doing everything to nix, to block optimism, progress towards health. Now we've got progress towards regress. progress towards the end of civilization, catastrophes. We're progressing towards catastrophes, Newton. Good boy. Okay, so look down below for you. I mean, there's so much to read and so much to. They're good presentations. Kind of amazing that this isn't front page news everywhere.